Hi, this is Michael Buffer, and welcome to the BoxHard Podcast.
Hello, everyone. This is Mikey Garcia.
This the monster from the swamps, Regis Rougarou Program.
Hey, what's up? This is King Carlos Molina, former IBF world champ.
This is Michael, the Bounty Hunter, 2012 Olympian and your people's champ.
This is Charlie Edwards, flyweight champion of the world.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard Podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello everybody and welcome to episode 476 of the BoxHard Podcast. I'm your host Joey Coastman. I'm joined as ever by former heavyweight world title challenger, the main man himself, my very best friend, Mr. Fast Eddie Chambers. Eddie, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, my man. How about you?
Always good when speaking with you, Eddie. Speaking to you this week from a boxing gym. I'm happy about that. We're going to start here with the review part of the show. This one went down last Friday, the 22nd of November, at the Walker Activity Dome in Newcastle, Tyneham Wear, United Kingdom. It was live on Channel 5, though I missed it, I have to say, so I'm just going to run through the result. On the undercard, we did see Cyrus Pattinson return to the ring, return to winning ways as well. He's now 7-1, a points win for him against Andrei Antonov. Who's now 4-4 with 2 draws. Like I say, a 6-round points decision for Cyrus Pattinson. Also on the card, friend of the show, Rohan Ingram moved to 6-0, a points win for him over 6 rounds at super featherweight against Jonatas Oliveira, who's now 6-16. Oliveira had only been stopped twice in his 15 losses, both times by body shots. Rohan Ingram did want to go in there and get the stoppage, but he didn't get it, but he did win every round. Really happy for him. Again, for those that don't know, we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. Floyd Mayweather himself said that he is the next Floyd Mayweather, and obviously we've seen the viral video of him stopping Rolly Romero in sparring, and he's also been in there in the gym with the likes of Gervonta Tank Davis, amongst others. Also on the card, the main event, the return to the ring for Harlem Eubank, now 20-0. He's picked up a unanimous decision here against Nurali Erdogan, who's now 16-4. Again, I didn't see it, but the main event here was only an 8-rounder. Erdogan had a point deducted in the 6th round. Both boxers had a point deducted in the 8th round. Harlem Eubank was cut in round 7 on his eye from a head clash. I don't know what to make of it. Like I say, I missed it. I do like Harlem. He's a nice guy, friend of the show, but I'm losing a little bit of interest in the movement. I think that this kind of Wasserman, Sauerland thing, they have quite extensive relationships with a lot of European fighters that no one's really heard of. So you see a lot of people like Josh Kelly, like Harlem Eubank, those fighters that are with them, boxing guys that, who is that guy? Who would buy a ticket to that? They're not even throwing him in with people who maybe good fighters have been in with that guy before and they didn't stop him. Can he do it? This was against a guy who was quite tough. Like I said on last week's show, he'd only gone the distance. He'd only had one fight out of his 19 fights end within the distance. They'd all gone long. They'd all gone to points, 18 out of 19. So it was a case of, could Harlem Eubank get the stoppage? And he couldn't. So yeah, it's just completely pointless, I think, that fight there. And why on earth is he fighting an 8-rounder? I've got no idea. But all the best to him moving forward. Moving on now to this one. It went down in Mexico. We'll be speaking to the main man himself in a few moments' time. Keith Hunter, now 16-2. A first-round KO for him in Mexico. Also, we're going to move now to the Hideout in Farnworth, Lancashire. Over here we saw a friend of the show, Brad the Sting Ray, move to 20-1. A KO for him in the 3rd round against Adam Heppel, now 4-2. That one at light heavyweight there. Like I say, 3rd round KO. Heppel was down in the 1st round and once in the third, both from left hooks to the body. So Bradley Ray is fantastic. It really is. I like to see, a tall fighter go to the body. That's like Callum Smith-esque. And he's a big boy, Bradley Ray, but it's not the first time he's picked up a body shot stoppage, which is great to see. So happy for him. I'm really happy for him. I think he's very underappreciated, and I think he deserves another big opportunity very soon. That's it, though, for the review part of the show. We didn't have too much to go over. It's now time to welcome this week's very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the hard-hitting and deep-thinking super lightweight himself. It is, of course, fighting out of Las Vegas, Mr. Keith Hunter. Keith, welcome back on the show, my friend.
Man, it's good to be back on the show.
It's always fantastic having you on, Keith. So we last spoke roughly a year ago now. It was just before that fight with Rohan Polanco. I of course watched the fight. Obviously, it was stopped in the 6th. Firstly, I must say, I was impressed with Polanco. I hadn't seen much of him before the fight. I thought he was very impressive. But talk to me, though, about that fight and what you think of Rohan after sharing a ring with him now, Keith.
I tip my hat to him because he gave me an opportunity. And he does have a certain amount of skill sets. I do still think I have the edge tactical-wise because he does plant his feet a little too much, and he'll get a little desperate sometimes and leap in a lot of times. So, even though I came up with the loss, or he came out with the victory, I didn't really feel that it was due to my skill sets as to why I lost. I felt like there was a multiple variety of variables, such as my own corner, and then the politics side weighed really heavy. I personally feel like the reason why they stopped it prematurely in the 6 rounds, which you can see on camera, and I had so much fight in me, is because I clipped them the moment before. And I was coming back on in the fight, and in order for them to have their guy safe and keep their guy safe, then right after I hurt him, then they didn't want me to recreate that moment, so then they jumped in.
And Keith, after the stoppage, I mean, I'm so used to you being such a calm guy, but you went crazy. You were mad at the ref. Do you have any, I don't know, maybe regrets of how you handled yourself?
No, actually, the truth will come out. The TRUTH will come out, because the way that they spun it on their platform makes me not look the best. But a lot of things behind closed doors and behind the scenes, again, that was the result of them being dirty. That was the result of not me getting robbed. The public got robbed because it was going to get really nasty in those later rounds, and they didn't want that to happen. So yes, I got upset as a fighter. If you're in a fighter's shoes, when you know you got a lot of fight in you, and you just hurt the guy, and he jumps in there and throws it out, and stops it. I was not mad directly at the ref. I was mad at his actions, because I was mad that he stopped the fight so early, and I didn't do anything to the ref besides he literally in camera was trying to hug me in a sense of like I was hurt. So I pushed him off of me, I just wanted space at that time. I didn't want to be hugged. I had my equilibrium and I had my feet well under me. So he was hugging me, trying to make play and look like it was a different way. And I wanted space. I didn't want nothing to deal with him. So, how that's what I didn't like, is how they spun it and said, oh, Keith is hitting the ref and blah, blah, blah. That's bullshit.
Keith, I think it's fair to say you lost your cool a bit. Whether they maybe
yeah, I admit I lost. As a man, I admit when right is right and wrong is wrong. They were in the wrong, and me losing my cool was in the wrong. But out of my own defense, I didn't want to be held, but you don't understand it. He was trying to make it look like
No,
a
I got
certain
you.
way.
I get you.
Right.
If you grab hold
I
of
don't
a
wanna-
fighter, it gives off the impression like the fighter can't
Yeah,
stand on
I
his
don't
feet.
want
I
to be
get that.
hugged.
I get that.
I don't want to be hugged when you just fucked me.
I
You
get
know,
that.
you just literally fucked me. No, I don't want you fucking being hugged. No, excuse my lingo.
No, you're
No,
all good,
I don't-
man. You're all good. Your brother Mike jumped in the ring and calmed stuff down. If he wasn't there, could things have spiraled even more out of control?
No, things couldn't have spiraled if he wasn't there because I was on the way jumping out of the ring. They didn't want me to get out of the ring. Like they were trying to keep me inside of the ring. I needed to get out of the ring for 2 seconds so I can breathe and collect myself. But they wanted me to stay right there. So no, I feel like because after the first 2 times, literally he held me and tried to pin me to the ropes. I got under his arms and I was on my way out the door anyways. So no, I'm a very cool, calm, collective guy. I am a passionate guy. I do have a ton of passion into what I do. But after everything's all done, I do have the ability to catch myself in intense moments. So I would have caught my own self at some point. There was nothing. I had no intention towards hitting the ref or doing nothing to the ref. I wanted to get away from the ref. So nothing would have transpired besides me running away.
Yeah, no, I get it 100%. I get it 100%. One thing I noticed this week, Keith, is that you've got more Instagram followers than Mike.
Well, you know, it's crazy. I don't know how the followers look, but I actually had 60,000 when I went viral, and now it's down.
Right. Okay.
Compared to what I used to have.
And tell me, Keith, obviously you'd been out the ring for a year. You did box on the weekend in Mexico. We'll get to that in a minute. But what kept you out so long, and what had you been up to in that time?
You know, after I lost to Rohan Polanco, then or I would say Rohan Polanco won. Then I would have got in there with him that night. You know, I wasn't. You know, I felt that good. Because he stopped it that early. I had that much fight in me. My body, my hands was good, my shoulders were good. You know, I took a little bit, but I would have been ready to fight that night or the night later, or the night, you get what I'm saying, 2 days later, I would have been able to fight him. But if it was up to me, or any other candidate, you know, I would have fought that week again. But the politics side did not want to allow me to get back into the ring as fast as my heart desired.
But yeah, you boxed over the weekend, like I said. For those that don't know, how did that one go, Keith? Tell me about that one in Mexico.
First round knockout.
First round knockout. Anything to add on it? I saw you did like an Instagram story afterwards.
You know, again, going down to and fighting in Mexico, there's always little things, weird things going on. But my experience there wasn't the best, but it wasn't the worst. To where I came out unscathed and I got a W for my record in the form of a knockout. But the little things was the day of when I get down there, a few minutes before we're about to hop on the scale, my opponent doesn't show up. My original opponent doesn't show up because he's due to a sickness. I mean, he was sick, supposedly. So, you know, that's a bummer. So luckily last second, they had a guy with the same amount of fights as me who was very tough and very durable, supposedly. And he jumped in there, you know, and since he jumped in there last second, he didn't have time to make weight, but I was 136 and he was 145.
Wow. Okay. Wow.
And I still took him. So I gave up. I gave up about a good 9 pounds that night, you know, but I didn't care. I got him out of there in the first round.
And am I right in saying that you gave him your hand wraps?
No, I didn't give him my hand wraps.
Okay.
I gave a loyal follower who made the journey from Orlando and who's been watching me for some time now. And I didn't know or connect to him until that fight. and I gave him my hand wraps.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool.
I
That goes a
know.
long way. I got your brother's hand wraps here in the same room
Oh,
as me
really?
right now
Damn.
from his fight with Ustinov. I got those
Okay.
ones. Yeah, so I didn't actually know this, Keith, but obviously BoxRec have got you listed as a lightweight. You said that you weighed in at 136, so you're down at lightweight now officially.
So, and then that's another factor with the Rohan Polanco on the business side, which nobody knows. But between now that you're providing me a space to talk about it. Rohan, the fight that I fought was at 140 with Rohan is what they said. But Rohan, moving forward, he's not a 140 pounder. He has never fought. Look at his weight. When the contract was actually a setup contract, and I signed it, meaning the weight, even though they were trying to say we're 140 pounders, I was a 140 pounder that night, but the contract was 143 on contract, 3 pounds above 140. The night of the fight, he came in at 142.6, dry as a raisin. I'm talking dry. He barely made 143. There's no way he's making 140. His body will not allow him to shave 2.6 extra pounds. So, you know me, if you look at my body, I don't have a single ounce of fat because due to how I eat. When I rehydrate, I stepped on at like 138. He stepped on at 142.6. And I stepped in at like 138. Again, that's giving up pounds. But the only difference here is since he was dry as a raisin at 142.6, he rehydrated to $160. And I rehydrated to about 143.
Right,
yeah,
right.
He was big as fuck. And I still dealt with him. He still couldn't get me out of there. I still hurt him.
I was going to say, because I think when you was explaining that, you said that on the night he came in at 143, and I was thinking, you must mean on the day of the weigh-in, because that's too low. He would have rehydrated massive. I'm
saying he came in at 142.6 on the
weigh-in.
Yeah, and then the night of the fight, he was 160.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
And I was 140. Yeah. I came in at 138 on the scale, and the night of the fight, I was only 143.
Yeah.
145 at the heaviest.
Typical goings on that a lot of boxing fans don't understand.
They put it in the contract, real slick like that, because they looked at my weight and they said, oh, this is a smaller guy, and we can put a weight clause on there, and we're going to rehydrate up to 160, and that'll be our advantage.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it happens a lot in boxing, obviously, but again, it's good to hear from you about that, because boxing fans just don't understand weights and things like that.
But it's okay. I look bad on their platform. I took a loss, but I took it against knowing, I took it against all odds, because had I got through that one, I would have been the next face of boxing. But, that did not deter me too much from my path, because in about a few more fights, whenever the fans think I get enough respect or not, I'd fight him, call him out at any time. I hope he ever gives me an opportunity. We can do it and run it back again. Or if the opportunity doesn't present itself again, then my star power inside and outside the ring will get me greater opportunities because of who and how I am and the story behind me fighting.
And Keith, talking of the future, what is next for you? Obviously, you boxed over the weekend. I'm assuming you're not going to fight again this year, but we'll see you early next year, maybe?
I had an opportunity actually to fight again this year. And now that I won, there are small shows, I think maybe 2 shows that is going on, I think, before the end of the year. I'm trying to get on there, but if not, you're correct. I will be there hopefully. Well, they close down January. Maybe if anything, I'm trying to get in where I can fit in. I'm a free agent at this time, and I am willing to fight anything at 135 at any moment, at any day, because I'm still in tip-top shape. So I'm still on weight, and I'm just waiting for different promoters to hit me up, which I've already made a few connections to.
That's good to hear, man. How important is it as well that 2025 is a massive year for Keith Hunter?
No matter the year, the same mission applies. I would like to say I'm on the marathon, I'm on a marathon like Nipsey Hussle was. And yeah, I think that now that I did not QUIT in my career, that doors are opening back up, and I'm waiting for my opportunity and I'm waiting for my time. And I think 2025, it suits me well.
Yeah, I agree. It was just great to see you back in the ring the other night. Like I say, I saw little videos that you uploaded. I saw you about to make your ring walk. You looked in ripped shape, which was fantastic to see. I really like you down at lightweight.
Thank you.
What's next as well for Mike? I must ask. I haven't spoke to him for a while, but what's happening with him, Keith?
Michael is possibly fighting December 8th down in Mexico. I'm not 100% sure, but he should be getting back in the ring here soon too.
Good stuff, man. All right, Keith, it's good to get an update on Mike, and also whenever I speak to him, I always ask about you as well. Just before we let you go, my friend, like I say, it's been a year, but we love having you on this show. If you've got any closing words to the listeners, the floor is yours, Keith.
No, I really appreciate, despite my inactivity due to the business side, I still appreciate everyone showing me support and love on a high level, and I just can't wait to provide another good hunt. We go hunting out there, so I just can't wait to get back in there and to be back on your platform and back on your podcast, and I appreciate you always talking boxing with me as well.
100%, Keith. Cannot wait to see you collect another bounty and a few in 2025. As always, the pleasure's mine, my friend. Thanks for your time. We'll speak again soon.
All right. Speak to you in a bit.
Okay, now it's time for part 2 on this week's show. This part, of course, the news part of the show. We're going to start here with this. Matchroom Boxing have announced a co-promotional deal with George Kambosos Jr. And that is a co-promotional deal with Ferocious Promotions themselves. That's George Kambosos' very own promotional outfit. So it's going to be Ferocious Promotions in association with Matchroom Boxing, in association with DeBella Entertainment Inc. So all the best there to George Kambosos. I'm a fan of him. I like the guy. He's been on the show. He's a cool guy. But yeah, I do enjoy following him on Twitter as well. He's good on Twitter. But yeah, I'm happy for him. I think he's already made massive money in the sport, and obviously picked up all the belts and stuff. So yeah, long may it continue for him. The final piece of news to mention as well. This is an interesting fight, actually, Eddie. I'm going to come to you here. Well, I say interesting. Maybe it's not so interesting, but I want to get your take on it anyway. We're going to see on February the 8th, Derek Chisora having his 49th professional fight against Otto Wallin. Now, Otto Wallin, someone that we thought could cause major issues for AJ, and we were extremely wrong. He was so poor on the night. And then Chisora, who I think we both thought was going to be no match for Joe Joyce, and Chisora went in there and won the fight. So, to be honest with you, I'm not sure what to make of this one. I'd like to see the odds, actually. I really would. I don't know who the favourite would be. I mean, yeah, I'd have to go with Wallin. I think. But that's just because I think Wallin's got pretty good feet for a heavyweight.
Yeah, but we've went against Derek Chisora so many times, and sometimes, obviously, for the right reasons. I don't want to say we went against him so many times, but just figuring, he's done. The chances of him winning this fight against a guy who's, still a live dog is kind of a little crazy to think that he would even win, but then he goes out and wins. It's like, remember, I called it. I was like, you never know with Derek Chisora. He'll show up and, look how the juggernaut has looked the last few times out. There's no guarantees, blah, blah, blah. And Chisora ended up winning. So in this scenario, we just know that no matter what, if he still has a heartbeat, he's still going to put and give every ounce of effort that he has, Derek Chisora. So it's really difficult, even when you look at a guy like Wallen who could box, and he's got good feet, he's got good punch selection, all these good things. But then, like, you just watch the fight with AJ. But I know it's hard to look at AJ, the fight with AJ, and say, "Oh, okay, well, he's not what we thought he was." But you got to think, Anthony Joshua was a big, strong puncher. You know what I mean? Pretty good boxer, and he had a lot of pedigree. He's been in the ring with a lot of top level guys, so you can't not give him credit for that. And then AJ knew Wallen really well. They sparred before, they fought in the amateurs. So, he didn't really have anything holding him back in that fight. So I feel like that was probably the reason that the fight went the way it did. He was pretty confident that he knew what he was facing. He knew that he could overpower Wallen, and he knew he was a little bit too good for him or too strong for him. In this fight, though, we don't know that. Now we got a guy, like I said, Chisora, who's supposed to have been over the hill for the last I don't know how many fights, and he still keeps coming back. He only looked really bad in the fight with Tyson, and that's because, it's Tyson Fury. But with the other guys, he did well enough to be in the fight, and he even won some of the fights. So you can't really just you can't overlook him. You know what I mean? You can't just say, "Oh, when is his day going to be up?" You just got to say, give him a fair chance, thinking that he's going to be who he is, and that's the guy that's going to get in there and fight with heart, give you his best effort, no matter what. And I think this fight is no different. I would not be surprised to see Derek Chisora come away with another decision win. It just wouldn't be that surprising to me, even against a guy who I think is a really good fighter. I still just think that Chisora still has a good chance. Now, would I bet on it? I don't know about betting on it, but I still think he does have a pretty damn good chance of winning the fight.
Yeah, you never can write him off. That's for sure. You've got to go back to the mid part of 2012, right? So 12 and a half years ago now. Where there was a point in his career where he'd lost 4 of his last 5, and that was 12 years ago. And then obviously since then he's just like you say, won some, lost some. He did lose 4 of his last 5 again at the back end of 2022 when he had the rematch the third fight with Tyson Fury. Since then, though, 2 back-to-back wins, Gerald Washington and Joe Joyce. But I do think Gerald Washington and Joe Joyce have something in common, and that's they're big guys, and they're very much they can be outworked, and they're very much heavy on their feet. Otto Walling can move, and that is what we saw Ajit Caballel do to Derek Chisora, and that's interesting because Ajit Caballel now doesn't really get on his bike and box off the back foot. We've seen him, in recent times completely change his style. But that night in Monaco, I remember him just getting on his bike and Chisora's feet were too slow. So I would actually back Wallen in that fight there, I think. I know that, he shocked us, didn't he, last time? I was at the fight when Chisora beat Joyce. But he's 40 years of age now. He's had 48 fights. Otto Wallen obviously being the taller guy, the southpaw, and with the better legs. He looked awful against Joshua, but he still has only lost 2 fights, one to Joshua, one to Tyson Fury. I'd pick him as the favourite here, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's the underdog because he looked awful last time and Derek Chisora looked good last time. So I'm really intrigued to see what those odds are going to be. Anyway, let's move on now to the preview part of the show. This one goes down later tonight at the Premier Suite in Cannock. It's not going to be on TV, but over here we're going to see Sam Eggington, friend of the show, 34-9. He's back in a 6-rounder here at Super Welterweight against Alan Velasquez, who's 4-19 with a draw. Shout out as well to Scott Murray, who will be putting that show on there in the Premier Suite. If you've ever found yourself in Cannock and you fancy going to a real sports bar. It's a lovely, lovely premises this guy's got. I've been there myself. They do a lot of boxing talks. They've had so many boxers over the years in the house. So many. Larry Holmes, Jerry Cooney's been there enough times. Ray Mancini. They've had Marvin Hagler in the house as well. It's a fantastic venue. It's massive. It's got nice outdoors. TV screens everywhere. It's got a lovely upstairs. The food's great in there. I cannot actually, praise the place enough. It's a fantastic, fantastic venue. And Scott Murray, the owner of that place, a really nice fella as well. So if you're ever in Cannock, certainly go to Bar Sport. And this one, like I say, is going down later tonight in that venue. Moving now to this one, it goes down tomorrow, Eddie, at the Swamlum Night Bazaar in Bangkok, Thailand. That might give you a clue, but over here, he's back in a 6-rounder. We've got Wisaxu Wangek, a.k.a.
the Rat Eater.
Yes, he's back, a.k.a. Sarisaket Sorungvasai as well. He is a man of many talents, a man of many names, and a man of many cuisines. He's 57-6 with a draw these days. He steps in with Guan Heng Luan, who's 5-8 with 2 draws. I'm expecting Wangek to get another nice knockout win and celebrate with another nice rodent. Moving now to this one goes down at the Merida in Yucatan, Mexico. Over here we're going to see Miguel Burchelt return to the ring, former champion, 40-3. It's very much gone under the radar. He's back here against Mauro Peruén, who is 16-9 with a draw. I remember seeing Peruén lose on points to Archie Sharp at York Hall. That was probably like last year, or maybe even earlier this year. And now he's in Mexico boxing Miguel Burchelt, former champion. That's over 10 rounds at lightweight. Moving now to the Bolton Whites Hotel in Lancashire, United Kingdom. Again, this one's on Saturday. We're going to see Zelfa Barrett on this card. And I completely don't understand what they're doing with Zelfa Barrett. I've said it so many times. I did not like the way that they moved Zelfa Barrett when he first turned pro. They threw him in with so many, I don't want to say useless fighters because that would be disrespectful, but they threw him in with so many guys with losing records. At one point, if you look for his record, and I'm actually going to do it now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. His first 16 opponents in a row from debut to 16-0 all had losing records. The first time he boxed a guy with a winning record was a guy who was 28-21. Then he went back to a losing record again after that. He had such a poor upbringing in boxing. And like I say, the first 16 had losing records. Then he had a winning record, then a losing record, then a winning record. So I think that, if my calculations are right, would mean that he had 2 guys with winning records in his first 19 fights as a pro. Then they threw him in with Ronnie Clark, and he'd never boxed at that level, and obviously that was where he took his first loss. However, he does have talent, and he improved a hell of a lot after the Ronnie Clark fight, and actually he improved a hell of a lot after the knockdown in the Ronnie Clark fight. That was the turning point in his career. After that knockdown, he come back, and it was a fantastic fight. I was at that fight as well back in 2018 at York Hall. And anyway, basically what I'm getting at is they brought him up in his from his pro debut up to that point in his career. They were feeding him baby food, and he wasn't seasoned properly in the right way against the right kind of guys to build him up. And he took a bad loss to Ronnie Clark. He would have battered Ronnie Clark at his absolute best self for Barrett. He come back, he did really well, and then obviously, boxed for a world title and came up short in a fight he was winning, ended up getting stopped, and he's coming off that win last time out against Jordan Gill. It was a fantastic win, one of the best wins of his whole career, probably the best win of his whole career, and then that was back in April, and now he finds himself boxing here in Bolton in a hotel against a guy called Christian Bielma, over 10 rounds. Christian Bielma's 19-8 with 2 draws. Don't understand the point of this fight at all. Bielma hasn't won any of his last 5. He's actually won 1 of his last 7. So it makes no sense at all. I really would have liked to see Zalfa Barrett build on his momentum kind of thing, carry it on. But this is just, I don't understand what's going on. I don't know why he's even boxing on this show here. I'm wondering if he's no longer with Matchroom, I think he was with. So I don't know, but all the best to him anyway. He's a nice guy. I'd love to interview him. He's actually on my short list of British fighters that I would like to interview and haven't had the chance. It's a random one, but Zalfa Barrett. Just because I was there that night when he lost to Ronnie Clark. He has come on leaps and bounds since then, but I don't know what he's doing here on Saturday night. He's ranked on BoxRec 20 in the super featherweight division, Zalfa Barrett. He's boxing the guy ranked at 542. Moving on to the Resorts World Arena in Birmingham, West Midlands, United Kingdom. I will come to you for the main event here, Eddie, but I will just touch on the undercard. We're going to see over here Conor Walker, 13-3 with a draw. This is going to be decent here, I think, this one. This will probably steal the show, to be honest with you. Conor Walker, like I said, last time out was very unlucky to come up short against Lewis Crocker. He's back in with another Lewis. It's Lewis Ritson, 23-4. Lewis Ritson coming off the loss last time out to Paddy Donovan. And even though he's been stopped in 3 of his 4 losses, Lewis Ritson, they've all been late in fights. He lost to Jeremiah Ponce in the 10th round. He got stopped by O'Hara Davies in the 9th round, and then stopped by Paddy Donovan in the 9th round. Conor Walker, not really known as he's a pressure fighter, I'd say, but he's not really known for having the kind of punch power of the Paddy Donovans, of the O'Hara Davies, of even the Jeremiah Nicholas Ponce. He's not really known for that. So I've noticed a really good price, almost 3-1 for Conor Walker to win on points here. I mean, Ritson's extremely tough. I don't think he's going to stop him. If he stops him, it's definitely going to be late. But for 3-1, I think that's a great bet for Conor Walker to win on points, because he will outwork Lewis Ritson. That's for sure. So I think he wins on points, that one there. So I think that's a really good bet. But again, that's probably going to steal the show because, that's going to be a good fight. You know, Conor Walker's got an exciting style, and Lewis Ritson, he's getting to that point in his career now where I think he's probably at the point really where he needs a win. He can't afford another loss, so he's going to give it everything he has, I would have thought. That's it for that one. Also on the card, we're going to see as well, return to the ring for Callum Smith, former world champion. He's gone extremely under the radar. When I saw him on the bout sheet, I was like, what the hell? I haven't even heard anything about Callum Smith. I was wondering if he was going to perhaps retire after losing to Beterbiev, but he's 29-2, friend of the show, former champion, back in an 8-rounder here, and it looks like he's stepping in with a guy called Carlos Galvan from Colombia, if I'm not mistaken, who's 20-14 with 19 KOs from his 20 wins, so he can certainly bang. That's like Bradis Prescott type stats there, I think. But like I say, he's been stopped 9 times in his 14 losses as well, so that one definitely won't go the full 8 rounds. Also on the card as well, we're going to see a big step up here for Cameron Vuong, who's 6-0. He's out here in a 10-rounder against Gavin Gwynn. Gavin Gwynn 17-3 with a draw. Big step up for Cameron, so, hats off to him. Again, he's ranked 185 on BoxRec, and Gavin Gwynn's at 69. Not the worst number to be on. But yeah, Cameron Vuong, all the best to him. Like I say, it's a big, big step up for a guy who's only had 6 fights. We spoke about this a few weeks ago when we had Sam Noakes on, who's in the same division. And Sam Noakes said credit to Cameron Vuong, because that's a big step up, and all the best to him. It's going to be good, that fight, I think. We're also going to see Kieran Conway as well, one of the most underappreciated British fighters we have. He's back on this card, 21-3 with a draw. He steps in with Ryan Kelly, who's 19-4 with a draw. That one for the vacant Commonwealth middleweight title. And then the main event, Sonny Edwards, 21-1, former world champion, stepping in with Galal Yafai, 8-0, obviously the Olympic gold medalist. Perfect record as a pro. It's for the vacant WBC interim flyweight world title. Obviously, both men have got a real extensive history with one another. They've sparred countless rounds in the gym. I don't think there's any real bad blood between Galao and Sonny. There is bad blood between their brothers, of course, Charlie Edwards and Cal Yafai, who were both champions at the same weight, were both undefeated at the same time, and for whatever reason, we never got that all-British super fight at flyweight, and Charlie is very bitter towards Cal for that, because I think Charlie wanted the fight. Cal didn't seem too interested, didn't really want to entertain it, was looking at bigger fish in his opinion. But anyway, the build-up's been juicy with the brothers both involved in the promo and stuff, but it's going to be a boxing match on the weekend. Obviously, Eddie, I don't know how familiar you are with Galao Yafai, but like I say, hasn't really put a foot wrong as a pro. He probably takes a bit too many chances and tries a little bit too hard to impress at times. I think you'd have to say was probably one of his downfalls. And obviously you can't keep your head on the line against Sonny Edwards, not because he's a big power puncher, because he's certainly not, but he's very, very accurate, doesn't waste much, and accuracy is one of his strongest assets, really. If you're going to leave your head there or leave a shot open for him, he's gonna find you. And he is just a fantastic fighter to watch. Like I say, I know that all of the American guys first probably watched him when he boxed Bam Rodriguez. He still put up a really good fight against Bam Rodriguez, who we've come to learn is an extremely special pound-for-pound talent. But like I say, didn't disgrace himself in that fight, even though he boxed with the wrong tactics, in my opinion, being way too aggressive. It's not his normal style. He is a guy that likes to box off the back foot, make you miss, make you pay, and he's very, very silky when it's all flowing. But like I say, these guys have sparred many, many rounds in the past. The odds are quite close, which I'm surprised to see. I think it definitely goes the distance, because that usually is the case when you see two guys fighting each other who know each other so well. Usually they know each other's best tricks and that. And it usually goes the full distance, especially down at flyweight. I don't think we're going to see a stoppage here unless there's a cut. But yeah, I think the safe bet is Sonny Edwards to win this one on points. He's looked good since losing to Bam Rodriguez as well. I think he's come back with 1 or 2 wins. And looks like the old Sonny, Showtime Sonny, who, like I say, makes you miss and makes you pay. Before we wrap up this preview part, Eddie, I don't know if you wanted to weigh in on that fight just before we wrap things up.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say I haven't really seen much of Galao Yafai, if any, but I've seen some of Sonny Edwards. He's pretty talented, good boxer. Definitely a boxer first, boxer puncher without the puncher, but he still makes you pay, like you said, when he makes you miss. But if Yafai wants to stay in and just gonna be right there, trying to push the fight, trying to be exciting, then he's putting himself in a bad spot already. You know what I mean? Typically in situations like that, you'll end up behind on the cards, and it just seems that way. If you're going to sit in there and give a sharpshooter like that an opportunity to land shots on you just to try to get 1 or 2 shots off, it's just not worth it. You have to be on your A-game boxing, and you got to put your best effort toward that. Unless you want to maybe switch it up a little bit and try to get on the front foot and get in his chest and wear him down, maybe you could try that. But he's only got 8 fights. I know he's a gold medalist and all that, or he's an Olympian and all that, but he still does only have 8 fights as a professional, and he's still got a little bit of learning to do, even though he's been, he's done well from what I understand, but now he's stepping it up to a different level when he's fighting a former champion, a guy whose only loss came in a fight that he did well in against, like you said, a pound for pound level talent. So yeah, he's going to have to be ready to step up and be on his A game. If not, he'll end up with a loss and a loss in this fight coming up in the very near future. So hopefully for him, he comes with a better plan and it's not just standing in front. But if he doesn't, he's in trouble.
There we go. That's Eddie's opinion, and like I say, you don't want to miss that one. It's going to be a really good fight, I think. Sometimes when, again, 2 former sparring partners have done so many rounds in the gym, it doesn't always make for a great fight. But I think You know, this will be a chess match. It will be entertaining. It will have its moments. Might not be a barn burner. Might not be a British boxing classic fight for the years to come. But I think we're going to see some good moments in there. And obviously, Galao can punch. He's got 6 KOs, which not many people have got that kind of knockout ratio at flyweight. So it's going to be a good one. All the best there to both men. Sonny being a friend of the show. That then brings the preview part to a close. In part 1, we did the review part. Then we welcomed our special guest. In part 2, we did the news and the preview part. The final thing for me to do is to come in with the outro, which I'll do in just a few seconds. Okay, and this wraps up episode 476 of the BoxHard Podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Eddie Chambers has been with me for the duration of the show. A massive shout out, of course, to this week's special guest, a good friend of mine, Keith the Bounty Hunter. The biggest thanks of all goes out to you, the listeners. Thanks once again for tuning in. That is about everything now from myself. Enjoy your weekends, people. Stay safe, and we'll see you all again, same time next week.